Hi, I'm Steve Deace. So if you're looking for a summer worldview camp, this is the place to be. July 16th through the 20th, we're going to encourage your kids to become the next generation of cultural leaders. We've got pastors like Douglas Wilson, filmmakers, cultural critics and commentators like myself and Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire. Sign up at calledconference.ninja. Again, Moscow, Idaho, July 16th through the 20th, calledconference.ninja.
Hear the world calling, but son, don't you listen. They're only trying to drag you back into prison, that's right.
Welcome back to What Have You. I'm Rachel Jankovic.
I'm Becca Merkel.
And see, guys, we remembered to do it again.
Well,
Sort of.
So far.
We
We'll
did
see
part
if we
of
get
it.
Posted. We've gotten as far as getting in the car.
Yep, we
Turning
got as
on
far as
the
doing
recorder.
several other things before we got to
We
it.
did. We've been in the car for too long now doing other stuff. We just drove out and saw Rachel's build site, you guys.
Yay.
It is so shockingly beautiful every which way that I feel like all she needs to do is put windows in and her decorating job will be done.
My work will be over. That's one of the things that I love. I have to say, little regional appreciation.
Oh, my
Let's take
word.
a little moment of regional appreciation. We live in a really, really beautiful
Magical
place.
Yeah.
So we live in, it's called the Palouse. You've probably, if you follow us upon are we on Instagram? We are on Instagram.
Are we?
Or Facebook. You've seen our pictures. Whatever.
Have we posted a picture?
I feel like we have. Whatever.
We'll post a picture of the
We'll
Palouse.
share with you what we're talking about. But
And the
it
Palouse,
is
though, the
a
Palouse
really
is
surreal
like-
place.
It's not it's a more of a geographical description because the Palouse crosses 2 states and multiple counties. It's just a description of
Right.
the kind of place where there's these crazy rolling hills.
Yeah, so
sort
we have
of
beautiful rolling farm hills.
fringed by the mountains.
There's mountains around, and then on the one to the south, there's the valley. The Palouse ends as you drop off a big grade into the, what is
Snake
that
River.
valley? Snake River. The Snake River. And Hell's Canyon is that way. So that's a really different kind of beautiful right there. And then to the north, it kind of turns into mountains eventually. And
Which
then
is
to the
kind
and
of
the,
like straggle off
it
of the
turns
Rockies.
into desert to the west, and
Yeah.
it turns into mountains to the east.
But
so
it's probably like 100 miles of this beautiful rolling
it's really beautiful. Now,
hills.
at one point, it was one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. But
Was
I
it?
don't know how often they keep those
it
going.
does
You know, who
get-
decides that?
I don't know. And it does get voted as like one of the top destinations for photographers because
Actually, we should just link to Hannah's pictures of the Palouse for you.
It's so pretty.
But one thing I have to say, so we live in a beautiful place. We live in a place that is beautiful in every season, but there are 4 very distinct seasonal. So like there's the white hills and the blue skies, and then the blue skies and the green hills, and then the gold hills
and even
the
the
blue
brown
skies.
hills where it's all plowed up.
that's
It
really-
looks like chocolate.
It's pretty, but the fall has a lot of it's good. It's a very
amazing.
evocative
It's like
season.
golden wheat, and then when they cut
Burn
the
it
wheat
or plow it.
but when they cut the wheat, it looks like my boys' freshly shaved heads. You know, where
Totally.
it's just like stubble.
Actually,
It's
for
just
a long
beautiful.
time, the fields, because I love yarn also, I have said someone needs to make a yarn line that is imitating the color palettes of the Palouse, because I'm like, there's the winter tweed fields.
Yeah.
It always looks kind of like yarn to me because there's the fibers on it, but then it is the rolling hills look like the twist kind of. It has a lot of.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So, but one thing I really love about our area is that everyone loves it.
Yeah.
Like even though we all live here with a lot of other people who live here, when it's beautiful out, it's like everyone posts pictures of it. Everyone is pulled over in their car out taking pictures of the beautiful day or looking at it.
Today, my youngest son, we were driving out. I was going to drop him off for a job weeding. And I was like, it's so pretty. And he goes, it is. He's like, it's really pretty. And since we were just in England, no offense, all you English listeners, he goes, it's just prettier than England. And I said, well, I was like, no, it's a different kind of pretty. And he goes, it's a prettier kind of pretty. I was like,
So
okay. I don't
near
mind a little regional loyalty, but
Right.
England is beautiful, everyone. I did love it.
So
England was
near
gorgeous.
here, like, what would you say? Is it a 30-minute drive to Steptoe? Whatever, from home,
Yeah,
it's probably 20 to
probably.
30, somewhere in there. There's a butte that is the site of an Indian battle, Steptoe Butte.
Yeah.
The site of the Battle of Steptoe Butte. That's where
Which
it was.
I think was a bit of pushing and shoving. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it used to have.
It was not a real showstopper of a
it's-
battle.
I don't think, as far as I know, it didn't change the direction of any real course of human events, but it happened there. And then in the 1800s, there was a hotel up on the peak of it.
Yeah.
It was a butte that is like a teepee. It's like,
Yeah.
it is conical.
Yeah.
It is like it's tall.
In
There was
fact,
a hotel
it
up
is-
there, and a couple of boys smoking behind it burned it down.
Oh my word. I
Burn-
didn't know that's what
They
happened.
did. Just 2 boys smoking behind it.
Those
Burned that
nerds.
thing right on down. So now all it has is like some radio towers on it. And then,
And it's given its name, though, to any other formation like that. It's called a Steptoe.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at look at us
There's a-
exchanging
yeah,
lore about
there's
the
like,
Steptoe
There's a
Butte.
specific and there's the generic.
Isn't that
We have
interesting?
the specific.
We have the one. We have the one that set the type of
Yeah.
butte. Well, the thing about Steptoe is you drive up this thing and then you just can't even believe it. You can like see the whole Palouse, right? I
Yeah.
think you can see 3 states from up there, can't you?
Probably.
And but one of the other things you can see is traveling photographers. Because they come in like
Yeah.
photo tour buses of photo
Yeah.
classes.
Mhm.
And one time we went up there, and we don't have a real tourist destination in here. Like, it's
No.
not like
No.
there's no tourism happening that you're usually aware of. But if you go to Steptoe, there's like cars with New York plates pulled over on the side. You're like, where did
Yeah.
you guys come from? What's happening? And people with very expensive camera equipment
Yeah.
standing around. So we'll put a link to this place. But one of the things I love about it is that the people who live here seem very aware of it, in
Yeah.
that it's not lost on us.
No.
There's a whole lot of...
Well, you'd have to be a soulless monster for it to be lost on you. Like,
you kind of would. And this is the time of year where the canola fields, there's
yeah.
canola blooming. It's like the eeriest, like, yellow that is just an unbelievable color on the fields, and with the skies are so blue and white. I mean, it's pretty killer.
no. And then what happens, my favorite, is when the dark black clouds gather up.
Oh, but the sun.
And the sun, like, comes in underneath.
Yeah.
And then you get this crazy lit up trees in front of this, like, black sky. It's stunning.
Somebody said to us, one of our friends from the South, when they came up here, said, I knew Montana was big sky country. They said, but y'all's sky is so close. And it is big sky and lots of stars and visible stars, because we don't have a lot of
Yeah.
light pollution.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway,
it's
if
a
you're
good
a
place.
photographer, come take a picture
Oh,
of
sure.
it.
But we
But
were out on the
Rachel's
hill
about to live in
noticing
it.
how we didn't need to decorate that house, probably.
No.
We just need to come up with a way to have...
Just some glass and she'll be set.
Yeah, some good, but I love that it's pretty even on the ugly days. Like on the
That's the
days where
thing.
it's just drizzly brown.
You're going to
Gray.
have an amazing...
It's still pretty.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, but even when we live there, I'll probably get headaches, not have energy.
Probably sin will still happen.
I think so.
Sometimes you do get that feeling where you understand for a split second those poor deluded people who thought if you could just get close to nature, it would
fix
the
it.
sin
It's
problem.
not gonna fix it. You're
It's
gonna
not
get
gonna
out there
fix
and you're
it.
gonna be like we talked about when you were in England and I was here, that our human frailty always gets in the way of our
But you're like-
of our perfect
It's
enjoyment
there's
of
the idea that the hermits could just go out and if they were just alone in nature, they would be fine.
without the other people to
Yeah,
provoke them.
yeah,
If I could just
exactly.
have some solitude, then I'll only sin
Yeah.
against God.
Or the people who tried to make communes here and there. It's like, yeah, it's not going to work, guys.
no, there's still
Not
going to be
gonna
a whole
work.
lot of reality at the end of that
Because-
quest.
The age-old truism: wherever you go,
There you are.
there you are with all of
With you have to put the emphasis on you. Like, there you are. Like, if you go there, you'll still be there.
you'll still have a little
It's
snark
gonna
in
be-
your heart.
It's like Granddad used to always say that distance adds intrigue. And it
does.
is true that distance also in time, distance into the past and distance into the future adds an element of like, I bet that will be amazing, but far be it from me to want to be faithful today.
No.
Far be it from me to want to just do the work that is right in front of me now.
Because it's like the clouds may be beautiful, but I don't feel like mopping my floor.
But why would I do this for them when they're not appreciating me right now?
Why would I do my children's laundry?
Okay, we were talking before we realized we should just go ahead and start the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We were launching on a field of discussion of our own.
because we were talking about... So, Rachel has a house to decorate. I have a house to decorate. Both of us have much work to do.
Well, I'm not really decorating it right the minute.
No, but you will.
Since it hasn't even really started yet.
But it's... Right now, you have to face all the questions because you have to decide what you're building. And the thing is homemaking is a very creative endeavor. Or at least it ought to be. If it doesn't have any creativity to it, then probably it's a bit sad. But the thing is, there's all of this stuff that you have to do that we're faced with that is a very creative sort of undertaking. But there have been times, I think both of us naturally tend towards that anyways. Like, I know for many people that's cutting against the grain, like they don't feel like that's where they're gifted.
No, but
we're both already like
probably nature and nurture. We're that way. We're like the creative side of it. Yeah.
But there have been times where I was pretty sure that
the well has run dry.
Yeah.
Till all the seas gang dry, my love. Till all the seas gang dry.
And you're like, but it did. They ganged.
They ganged dry.
And the thing is,
I used to always laugh at that tank. It's a tank top, the black tank top that says in like very block letters, in memory of when I used to care.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've been through all kinds of scorched seasons like that. Don't you think?
I remember when I was pregnant with Judah, so it was my number 5. I had 5 kids. At that point, I was pregnant with number 5, and the oldest was 5. So I had 4 kids under 4, but then I had 5 kids under 6. So Knox probably hadn't turned 6 yet. He was still 5. I was pregnant with number 5. And I really thought that a part of my soul had died. I thought that it was the creative part.
That sounds so mean. But I know what you mean, exactly.
I remember telling Ben, I was like, Ben, like, I don't care about paint colors. I don't want to sew anything. I have no desire to make anything at all. I don't care. Like, and I was like, what's happened to me? Because like, I felt like,
oh, totally,
like this part. And he very well, he said, yeah, I'm not worried. I was like, no,
but you don't understand.
Like, no, the thing about it is I don't care about any of the paint color. I don't care about decorating. I don't like, and I was still doing all the things that were in front of me to do, but the magic was not there.
No, the magic
and
turns out is vulnerable to overdoses of reality.
Yeah, and it was
just times.
And the thing is, like, I have to say, at this moment when I was pregnant with number 5, my house was completely gutted. I didn't have a kitchen, as we spoke of last week. I did not have a kitchen. I had, like, no shelves or cabinets or drawers. And I had particle board on either side of the sink, which is not actually ideal for wiping up any kind of moisture.
No, not the plan. You should have at least, like, thrown a layer of saran wrap down
something shellacked it. But anyway, like, everything was gutted. We were trying to remodel a house. I was pregnant. I had 4 little kids, and I just felt like, oh no, I think it snapped. I think something in there snapped, and it's gone now.
Like, we one time put our, we have above the dishwasher in our old house is where the plug was that I always plugged my phone in.
Mm-hmm.
And the one magical thing that we could do was shut the end of the charger cord into the dishwasher and run it while it So we would have, you'd go to charge your phone and there's just this scorched out little end, and you'd be like, well, nothing's coming this way. The old routes have been burned off. And you feel like there were times like that where you think my old methods of getting myself revved up are doing nothing for me.
But the thing is,
it got trapped in the dishwasher and shorted out.
I don't. Exactly. And I don't want to make it sound like I was depressed, because I really wasn't.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
And the thing is, I did, well, both of us did, but the morning sickness that is show-stopping levels. And so I think it was probably coming off of the morning sickness in a house that was being remodeled, in a pile that was too big for me to finish, and I was just probably really behind on everything. And it was like, it's gone. It's gone. What, the bluebird
when
of
I was
creativity is not here.
When I was pregnant with the twins, we moved out of our apartment into a little house that we were renting. And I don't think that I even had enough zip within myself to notice that I didn't care. I just didn't care so hard that I didn't care that I didn't care.
See, I was scared. I was scared that I had...
I've been there too, but I'm saying at this particular time, the person who got scared that I had no more will to live was Mom. Because she came over, and I just have this vague memory, which she has brought up before, thinking it was hilarious, where she would be like, okay, Rachel, where do you want me to put this box of stuff? And I think I was like 30-something. Was I 30? Maybe 28 weeks. I don't know. I don't remember. I feel like we maybe moved in August and they were born in November, so it might not have been. Oh, and I was huge. Whatever the case, I was huge. I had no mental energy, because whatever at the railroad tracks of your brain where they switch the big lever to divert everything to a different line, my body was bypassing my brain to just grow the twins.
Right.
And Mom would be like, where should I put this? And I think I was just sitting there like, I don't care. And she's like, well, I mean, what happened to her? And at the same time, that house had really gross color in the living room on the walls with like a stenciled border around the top. And I didn't care.
Yeah, I was like, your style.
I was just like, I don't care. It was like, what are you going to do with the stenciling? And my feeling was like,
nothing.
Why are you looking at it? And if you know me, that's not my normal mode.
And the thing is,
and it passed.
It did. And I remember Ben being like, I'm pretty sure it's going to come back. I don't think, I think he felt like you can't keep it down forever. But I was like, no, I think it's gone. I think that never more shall I care about anything aesthetic. Mm-hmm. Turns out he was right. I was not. But I think that moment of like, what is it that you do when you're feeling like that? And again, I want to distinguish it, because I was still happy as could be. I was not depressed.
But you have to say, you're not depressed and you're not happy, but you were going through a stretch that was particularly hard.
Stretch. It was very hard.
And that's the thing, is that like, you can acknowledge a situation as being very difficult and trying without throwing the towel in to your own sinful disposition about it. So like and I think for women, especially with creative things, like any time in your life when you're being really transplanted, like you're being repotted, and not necessarily in physical locations, but in your own idea of who you are, like where you thought this is the way that I am, and then all of a sudden nothing is adding up with what you thought you were. Yeah. And you're like, how did that happen? That all of a sudden
And like, I remember one other really interesting moment was we suddenly moved to England, and it was very sudden. It was like our house was still pulled apart. Judah was a baby, so he turned 2 in England, so he, it was like just freshly 1. We found out we were moving. Yeah. We had to sell our house, which meant we had to finish our house and then sell our house. Yeah. We were putting a bathroom in. We actually moved out with no one ever having taken a bath in that bathroom. It was so fast. And we stayed
think that I only spotted that bathroom one time from outside the door. I don't even think I really...
I think I only spotted it one time from outside the door. Yeah. It was very fast. We stayed up all night painting till like 5 a.m, and it went on the market at 8. It was like, it was a really fast... And I finally got my kitchen that summer after we knew that we were moving to England. So it was like, we got the kitchen in, finished, painted, done, and I didn't even have time to cook in it, because it was like, we're leaving. And it was a massive transplant of a summer where it was just so many things. And all of a sudden I was going to be homeschooling, and I had to pack up my life, and we had to condense our life into, suitcases, because we weren't shipping anything. It was a pretty major summer, and I soldiered through it. But one of the things that was really funny was that, I don't know if you do this, but once I got super, super sick in high school, like really bad fever for a long, like it was a big whatever. And 3 months later, all my hair started falling out, by handfuls.
Yeah.
And we were like, what on earth happened? And went to the doctor because my hair's falling out. And not so much that I became bald, but it was just like a lot of hair would come out if I just grabbed it and pulled. It was like I'd come out with just tons.
That.
And they said, when your body goes through something sort of traumatic, sometimes that's an aftershock, like later, like 3 months later. Happened after every baby. I would have a baby, 3 months later, my hair would fall out.
That's like the hormonal shift,
Yeah. But then we moved to England, and then it was sometime later that all my hair starts falling out. And I was like, what on earth? I didn't have a baby? Like, I haven't been sick? What on earth? And I was like, oh, I know what I was doing 3 months ago. I was moving to England 3 months ago, and now my hair is falling out. Like, it was hard. It was like, honestly, a very difficult
But
time.
I think I would say that you can also be transplanted to bigger pots, you know what I mean? Like, when God is expanding your family, when he's expanding your responsibilities, like when you feel like he's taking away things that you think of as being supports, where you're, like if you had to move away where you didn't have mom in town, or you didn't have, and so you think like, God expanded, he moved you into a different situation.
You know how with some house plants, you repot them and you cut their roots back by a good bit and then put them in a new pot? And I feel like there are seasons when God does that. He pulls you out and he trims off a bunch of those roots.
And things that you would have thought, no, that was really valuable.
It's like, no, I
felt like that was good.
Yeah.
I liked it. But the thing about when you feel like God is repotting you somewhere, you don't necessarily have all of the will to flourish like a crazy old thing right at that time. Like, there's a lot of focused concentration on just staying alive in some way, but I think that
the question is, do you trust the gardener?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, is that if you can ride through very difficult seasons like that if you are resting in Christ. Like, if you're saying, okay, so I don't feel normal at all, but the situation was not like, this is of God, like the way that this has happened, he sent this to me. So it reminds me of, this is not really a houseplant thing, but the perennials here, they always say the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. And obviously it doesn't happen in years like that, but there is a sleeping period where you are not going to be experiencing a lot of creative growth and energy when big things have happened to you, like around the time of having a baby or getting married. Getting married didn't slow me down in that way, but I think that was more of a miracle grow effect, where you're like, and now I shall domesticate the world.
No, but there's lots of things that can do that, and I feel like the question is, do you trust God? Do you trust what he's doing? And can you rejoice through it? And you don't.
And taking a minute to concentrate on doing those things is not the same thing as not thriving.
No, and joy is a fruit of the Spirit, but I don't know, reupholstering isn't. And so the question is,
sure? Because I think that sounds like long suffering. Because I hate reupholstering.
I'm about to do it again, Rach. I am.
On the same one?
Same one again. Yeah. Anyway, but the thing is that it's easy to feel like this part of me that is gone dormant is essential to who I am, but it actually isn't essential. No. It's like, no, that's a thing that might come back later.
No, it's like, it's actually all right if my kids eat box mac and eat off of paper plates for a few minutes.
It's okay.
It'll be fine.
It'll come back.
Nobody really gives a rip in the long run if we had a moment like that.
But no matter what your situation is, you are called to rejoice in the Lord in it. And so you have to be in charity with the people around you. You have to be trusting God. You have to be obeying him. And you do have to be doing your duty.
Yeah.
Even in those moments when it's hard, where it's like, well, what is your duty right now? Get up and do it. Even if it doesn't feel like the most sparky, exciting thing that ever happened.
No, and you just keep trusting God in trusting that you doing your duty is some of the means He uses to bring you through. Because as you're faithfully doing what you can do, you know, you do grow through those periods.
Yeah, you do.
But I can say there have been a lot of phases, and so we've been married 15 years now this summer, and there have been a lot of phases where I was really kind of down for the count in some. I mean, you said getting morning sick. We both get morning sick.
Yeah,
so
real hideous.
So at least there's that many for both of us. There were that many times of being spread eagle somewhere. I think this is funny. Before I got pregnant with Moses? Must have been with Moses. I had committed to speak at a conference in Seattle because we have family in Seattle. We're like, yeah, we should go. We'll do that.
Yeah.
It'll be no big deal. And I'll speak at the conference just as sort of a side gig. You know, something we'll do then.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize at the time we weren't anticipating me getting morning sick. So then I got pregnant. Then I was just wackadoodle sick. You know, like doing it the whole hog way that we do it. In fact, well, and then I remembered there's that conference coming up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I went and counted it on the calendar. Like, how many weeks will I be?
Yeah.
And I start feeling better around 16 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was going to be 16 weeks in one day. So we were going to kind of like skidding out of morning sick terror into traveling to speak to people on keeping a grip on their mothering life. Which, you know, it's great. Mom always says whatever you're going to speak on, you will be tempted on that.
Yeah,
and the topic of my talk was my book title, Fit to Burst, Abundance, Mayhem, and Joy or something. I was like, right. And I remember a moment, talk about the scorched earth times. I remember right before we left, a moment, I was disgustingly sick, sitting in a chair. Daphne had just had her birthday. This was in our living room.
Okay.
Where we got her a bike, which she immediately wrecked and broke her wrist on it. Like, just sort of like, happy birthday, go break your wrist. So she broke her wrist. Shadrach was having a uber 2-year-old moment of doom that Luke was very calmly. Luke was sitting on the hearth, so it's this moment. I'm sick in a chair. Daphne is sitting on the couch with the frozen peas on her arm because we had not gotten I don't think she'd gotten a cast. Well, she didn't have to get a cast, but she had a sling, or I don't remember what happened. Maybe she hadn't even been to the hospital yet. She had frozen peas on her arm. Shadrach was having a major temper tantrum Shazam that Luke was working his way through, and that for some reason it seemed like out of spite and ill will, all the curtain rods in our house were falling off. Like at the end of a long period of me being morning sick, that every curtain in the house was like crooked, like sideways, you know, like one side's falling off, and it was. And then
I feel like it does capture the whole movie.
No, it's like, why? And then as this ultimate moment, the house is, I had to say, people would say sometimes when I was morning sick, hey, can I bring you guys dinner to give you a break from cooking? And I would be like, that's really sweet of you to bring us a meal, but don't be deluded into thinking I've been cooking.
No,
because
gosh, no.
I am in no way.
No.
I couldn't go in the kitchen without turning into a puke fest of horror.
I couldn't even stand up. I was so sick. So
yeah,
it just...
I remember occasionally trying to like hold my breath through the kitchen to try to get someone something, you know, like a kid that needed something, and it never went well. It was always turned into a...
I don't even remember that. And the thing is, like, I would just be so sick on the couch, couldn't stand up, couldn't, like, nothing. And I remember, like, Ben... Whoa, I got a call right at that very moment. But anyway, I'm just saying, Ben, saint that he is, he would come home from work and then he would start trying to figure out what on earth he was going to feed himself and the kids, because I wasn't eating anything. So, and then I would then be overwhelmed by not just the nausea, but also just guilt, because you feel so bad that you're not.
You're like, why? Couldn't I have powered through
and
this?
It's like, and you're coming home and the house is blitzed and who knows what the kids are wearing and there is no food and I can't even think about food without vomiting and probably crying.
This is why it's important to marry a good man. But anyways, what I was going to say, at this key moment where we're getting ready, we have to leave like the next day to go to this conference. We're at this moment where Luke's dealing with Shad and the kids are all around, and a tray that has been hanging on our wall for like a year and a half just falls off. Like we're sitting there with the curtains falling off, and a tray just, for no reason, like unprovoked, falls off of the wall. And you think, so I guess we just can't keep things together right now.
No,
I think it's just our time of, it's not coming together for us.
Yeah.
But the reason I think that's, then we got on the road to go there, and I'm sorry to share with you a vomit story, but it is funny.
Okay, here we're going to launch
this. We get to
one.
the first town outside of our town. No, past Pullman. We were in Colfax. And I'm like, pull over, Luke, pull over, pull over, pull over. And so he goes veering off into this gravel parking lot. And it is a very windy day. And
this sounds like it's not.
The van door open.
Yeah.
And it was like a little late. So as I puke out, the door hits me in the head as it bounces back. And I get puke on my shoes and my pants. And anyways, puke all upon myself, right, barely out of town. That's
so
where we
bad.
got it. And,
so bad.
I'll text your husband. Ben keeps calling. I'm gonna text him that we are podcasting.
Oh, that's a useful thing to do.
Isn't it? And nobody will notice because it's not like I'm gonna talk about what I'm doing or
it'll
anything.
be easy.
You can text him if you want to.
Schmeezy.
Anyways, my point about this is that while I was laughing, that I went to talk to a bunch of women about having, being a joyful mother at a time like that, when we were really vomiting on our shoes and bonking our heads and things falling off the walls. And at the same time, that is exactly that kind of moment that would qualify you to talk about it, in the sense that motherhood is not your life as a Christian woman is not a journey through a bed of roses where you
and plenty of life that isn't.
Maybe it is. There's thorns there, but
no. But I mean, plenty of life that's not motherhood is exactly
right.
Like that.
Exactly. But I mean that the point is that it's so important for Christian women to recognize, like what you were saying, that joy is commanded, like being in the Lord and in the joy of the Lord. That is a command. It's not optional. That's your life.
No.
And you say, well, there's hard times and there's good times, and there's times when the joy is a deeper kind of a joy than it is it's not silly. It's rich and heavy. Yeah. But at the same time, it's something that is required of us as Christians, and it's also something that is possible in all kinds of varied amounts of what looks like flourishing on the outside.
Yeah.
Like there are the times when there's not a lot of flourishing on the outside, but there's still deep joy in the Lord and abiding in Him.
There's pruning going on in that moment.
Repotting. Like, take a moment to collect our thoughts.
Yeah, and I do think that the fact that joy is commanded, no matter the circumstances, is really worth thinking about, because that seems so counterintuitive to how we would ever organize anything. Mm-hmm. We don't think you should have to be joyful if things are difficult. But notice how much of the New Testament is written to people, not just who are going to have a hard time because they're a little bit overweight and they don't like the color of their living room, which is really our level of
kind of a level.
It's like I'm writing to you because you're about to be tortured and killed. And I'm telling you to rejoice.
To be rejoiced. Yeah.
And I'm writing you actually from a prison cell. Like from a Roman prison cell. I'm writing you to rejoice. Which is
part of the reason that I don't feel bad at all not qualifying with any of these commands with, do you have a hard day? don't worry about it. If you're just bummed out and you don't feel like being happy.
No, because the thing is like the actual commands were written for genuine hardship and trial. And how much of the time in the New Testament, like when you think about trials and we think about our own lives, it doesn't.
We haven't
quite
really
compare.
crested into trials.
We have not resisted to the point of bloodshed.
I think didn't I mention a book on here at one point that it's like a missionary book called Warriors of Ethiopia, and it's just vignettes about all these different, they were Ethiopian missionaries to Ethiopia. So it was the first level of converts, like a lot of them who were native people, missionaries to their own people.
Right.
But this book is like both super inspiring and kind of devastating at the same time, because it is someone, of course I don't remember any of the important details, but it is, I don't know the author or anyone, so it was someone who was collecting it kind of as a, like, people need to know of the legacy of these missionaries. But it would be like 2 pages on some person who took the gospel here and they were murdered for this.
Yeah.
People, and all of them ending, people in jail for forever, people being tortured, people dying for the gospel. And they're people that are like, it is such a good perspective where you're like, but you want to know what's super hard for me? You want to know? I'm out of coffee.
Yeah. Well,
like straight up
and I feel
allergy
like it's
season.
I know how to be abased and I know how to abound. I know how to be a size 6 and how to be a size 12. Or whatever, like I know how to have bits of jam on the counter with breadcrumbs.
I hate to let that pass without saying the fat pants and the fat chance pants.
I know.
And you gotta find something right in between those.
But the thing is you have to be ready to thank God in all of it, be joyful in all of it, and be patient in all of it, and trust God in all of it, that He's going to get you through, and not sit around wallowing in your own little stew of...
Right, like the more that you try to look in on yourself for strength in that time, the worse it's gonna get.
Worse
like
it'll be.
There's a bad time that coming your way if you're gonna try to dig within for it instead of just looking out.
I think that's often why people end up just lying down and crying on the floor and not getting up, is because they're looking within.
Well, because you keep looking in the pantry of your heart and there is no dinner there. Like, there is no sustenance coming your way from within.
No.
It's not happening.
No.
It will not arise. We are not, and, you're going to have to look to a provider outside yourself for this.
Yeah, and it's so easy to point to all the reasons why I can't rejoice right now. It's like, nope, I can't obey God. He told me to rejoice, but I can't because...
If He really wanted me to, He would have done something about this situation.
Exactly. And you just wonder how often, like I remember Mom would always talk about, you're given a test on something, and if you want to be moved up to the next grade, you got to pass the test. Or do you want God to keep giving you the same test over and over?
Is this the one that you want? Although that's sort of a trick question, because you get moved up to the next grade and it gets harder. It gets harder in its way, but you get better at it.
But the thing is, like, do you want to learn the lesson God is teaching you right now, or do you want to make it real difficult? Do you want to have to keep taking first grade over and over? And I do want to say
another thing that I'm out of this phase, Becca's out of this phase, but when you have young children, there are like the passel of little people, which we both did.
We did it.
You have that moment, and there are times when you feel like this is unbelievably huge amounts of work that is not going to end in any foreseeable date, right? Like there's no weekends off. There's no don't worry, I'll just really sit back during church and soak up the good encouragement from our pastor, because actually you're going to be furtively whispering through the whole sermon to people. I said, sit up, shh, no, don't do that. Here's a wet wipe, blow your nose.
Yeah. Or sneaking out the back door, but while they're still on the inhale. That's
while they were still building up for the great big scream. And you're like hoofing it out the door. So anyways, and in those phases where you can feel like, but there is no relief for me, it's very tempting to start to get despairing or kind of, I guess, bitter.
Sorry for yourself.
Bitter, sad about your life, whatever. Or just like, this is impossible, I want to quit, but you can't quit.
Or you just drop all your standards and decide not to try.
It's just like everything is wrong and you can't. But the thing I do want to say is hang on in that moment, because even though the whole amount of work will go on for a long time, that is the part of like on a run where you just need to keep going, and there will be a second wind.
Yeah.
Like, don't despair, don't give up, don't whatever. Just say, Lord, help me be faithful with the very next thing, and keep my eyes on you, because there will be a moment where you get that breath and that relief, and you're like, you have that moment with your little kids where you're like, I am so overwhelmingly thankful for them. Like, look at the sweetness, or it's just that there are certain times,
I will say, though,
where the flesh is weak.
We are assuming, though, the sort of basic tired, exhausted that comes from a lot of obedience, but there is also another kind of tired, which is the result of a lot of disobedience,
right?
And that is a different question. Like, if you are faithful and you are doing what God wants you to do, and you're confessing your sins, and you're putting your heart right, and you're not letting things rack up, and you're teaching your children to be obedient, it's going to be hard work, and it's going to be messy a lot of the time, but it is good work, and you can trust that you're on the right path, and you just need to keep your eyes on Christ.
But if it's hard because you've been on the phone all day griping at your friend, then
it's hard because you actually aren't enforcing obedience with your children, and so they've become little demon monster children.
If your children are unpleasant for everyone because you're not being a faithful parent,
right? Then that's a different thing, and we can't say, "Oh, just hold on, it'll get better." Because
no, I didn't mean that.
If you're in the middle of being a disobedient mother to little kids, then you will be like, if you're a disobedient mother with a bunch of disobedient small children, then you'll be a disobedient mother with a lot of disobedient teenagers, and that doesn't get more fun.
And what I meant more was the genre when they were little. I can remember those moments when everyone was little. I can still have these moments where you're like trying to do something in the kitchen, and everyone's trying to see what you're doing so much that you can't do it.
Yeah.
Everyone's like running a chair into the back of your legs, being like, "Excuse me, Mom, I'm trying to get a better angle on this
Standing
activity."
on your feet.
Like, let me claw my way up your maternity pants to see what's happening in here. And I'm talking about the kind of moments where you just feel like I can't individually meet all of these needs.
Sure.
Even though you are faithfully trying to, there's overwhelming feelings that can come your way,
Yeah.
And
but the thing is, you can actually be in the midst of doing everything you need to do, and it still feels overwhelmingly oppressive. And that's the time where you just keep your eyes on Christ.
Look to Christ
and don't worry if you don't feel like painting a room.
No, I've told a friend, I said, the thing is that being awesome doesn't feel like being awesome.
No, it doesn't.
Like, being awesome, I was like, it's like a kid who just learned to ride a bike that we would call the wobbly bike feeling, like where you're like panicking and biking, but like all you're feeling is the crazy side to side sway and like, wah, like I'm going, but you're doing it, but you're faithfully doing it, and keep your eyes on Christ and keep doing it, and don't get caught up in the feeling. Like, this should feel it. Like, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, keep doing it. Like, don't give up.
Exactly.
And then on the other hand, what Becca's saying is, you might need to think, is this hard because I'm allowing a lot of sin from my children? Like, is this hard because I'm allowing the tone of our house to be one of complaint? Yep. Is this hard because I'm allowing myself to be a bad testimony to my kids?
And the thing about it is, if you don't teach your children to be obedient, it's like, well, who is going to be punished the most for that lapse is you. I mean, it's
not really, because they will be. That's the thing, is that they will be visited with your sin of failing to teach them.
It's true, but I'm just saying, you're not making life easier for yourself.
No, it's like there's a whole lot of reasons to push through with obedience and joy and confession of sin
and do not tolerate the sin spill messes happening all over the house, because those won't just go away. If you just give it time, it's not gonna just drift off. It's like,
my heavens,
it's like if you just really continued to never do any dishes in your house. It's not like you can just wait and eventually they'll
They're
get
not
done.
biodegrading. In
No,
there. Yeah,
no,
they're
just getting mildewy and
inviting the
smelling
rats.
worse.
They're like,
so it's like that's gonna
it
snowball.
turns your small sin into a foundation for horrifying sin. Like it
Exactly.
turns things into it magnifies it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think there's so much. I said I was on Cross Politic the other day, which is funny because my podcasting experience, as you know, is
In a car.
much less official without microphones.
Yeah, no, cross politic is much more
no
scheduled.
headphones. No,
No.
like organized
Monitors,
work. Yeah, we wouldn't
soundproof
do that.
rooms.
Why would you
No.
plan what you're going to talk about
Sound effects.
in advance?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but anyways, I was on there and I said something at the end that I still think, I'm not trying to like insult mothers, but when people say, why don't you talk about the value in single women as often as you talk about mothers? And I'm like, well, I don't think that mothers are more valuable as humans than single people at all.
No.
What I think is that they're more likely to be ruining other people's lives. Like, and I think how many mothers get up in the morning to be a bad testimony to Christ to their children
Yep.
all day.
All day.
Like, oh yeah, I profess Christ. Oh yeah, I say I'm a Christian. Oh yeah, I act like I'm sweeter to all my friends when they see me.
Yeah.
But what you see is bitterness, selfishness, self-importance, short temper, like unkind, ungracious, unloving, and then you think, why are my children not hearing my words about what they should do? And
Why
you
are
think,
my kids so unpleasant?
yeah, or why are they not? Why are they not anxious to be loyal servants of Christ?
Yeah.
Like, why are my kids kind of indifferent to the gospel? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, have you made it a real lovely
Attractive?
thing? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and people do their little diffusers or I don't know what else, Scentsy, those things.
The little scent diffusers, yeah.
Well, there's like scent diffusers. I feel like there was one that was cool at some point with like wax pellets, whatever. Those aroma, the things that you do to set off an aroma in your home. Well, the aroma in your home ought to be the sacrifice of your life to the Lord.
Yeah.
And if that is the aroma in your home, that you're like, what the Lord requires of me, I gladly give. Like, then your children, that is the most absolutely glorious and attractive thing that can possibly be going on in your house. And it is something that I think we can probably speak from experience on this, that it is something that your children will never doubt they want. And they grow up with that as an ambiance of what they believe life is. That when you get into a situation where that's not happening, that all of a sudden it's this shocking, please take me home where the air is clean. Please take me home where the people know how to repent of something.
Exactly.
Or, whatever.
And I do think that is really like doing the concrete work in terms of like laying the foundation for your children's lives. And later, yes, all the other, the extra bits are important. The beauty in the home, it's important. Beauty in the food and the table fellowship and the curtain rods.
It's not as important as the foundation.
The curtain rods matter, but they're later on. And I think all of those other things, if you're in a season of deep morning sickness or something,
or grief, or all kinds of things,
or you've moved, or if God is pruning you somehow, it's like, sure, maybe we're doing concrete work right now, and then don't worry about it. The other stuff will come back.
Just don't worry about it so long as you're doing it faithfully. So long as that place you are, you're like,
and don't panic.
Trust
that you're not feeling all of the sort of things that you might feel in a moment of
all of the window sash
chill,
excitement.
Calm. Chill, calm when you're on vacation and you're thinking about, your plans. If you're not in that mode, it's like, don't worry about it. That's a season and it will come back around. But the feeling that my creativity died of a fatal blow, that turned out to not be true. So
no, it actually turned out to not be true.
And actually, the thing that would make it much worse is stressing out, worrying about it, weeping over it, mourning for its demise.
I used to be neat. I'm not anymore.
And it's like, no, just give it to God. And that's the thing. I had to be like, you know what? I'm going to not worry about this. I'm going to give it to God. And if he wants to give it back to me later, he will.
He will. And I've had those times where I would say pressure or stress or whatever it is that you have building up, where you have like too much to do, too little time, can't think of how you could be that much of a person to get this all done. You know, when you start to get that, at least for me, I will start to feel like it's like a funny tightness in your chest.
Yep.
I start feeling like you're having like a wound up rubber band somewhere, like there's some kind of building something. Well, I have been a Christian adult, I guess, long enough now that feeling in me, I recognize these things go in rhythms. And when that starts to happen, I think look for, like, just trust God and look for the Spirit. Like, sometimes there will be a change of wind soon. Do you know what I mean? Like there always is. Like, don't start despairing like this is how it just is. It's like, no, just hang on, be faithful. There will be a change of wind soon, or the storm will break, kind of that feeling.
If you have that feeling in your chest, then it's like, well, you know that you have something to give to God. Yeah. You can feel it in your chest.
You're like, whatever this weird anxiety is, I'd like to pass it on now. Like, let's move. And sometimes I think it's just the heaviness of what you're trying to do. And it's not really stress. It's not like you can't locate a sin in it. It's a feeling. It's just a feeling of the time, you know, like, it's like the ambiance of the moment.
But it's almost never a productive feeling in my experience. It is the feeling that's going to get you distracted away from the task and into...
You just start talking about how you feel instead of...
it distracts you away from what you're supposed to be doing into a weird little whirlpool of talking about how you're feeling about what you ought to be doing, which actually not a productive thing.
No, that's the big moment where you're like, but guess what? How I feel doesn't matter. If I still know what I'm supposed to be doing, how I feel about what I'm supposed to be doing is neither here nor there.
No.
So it's time to do it.
Because you've got a thing to check off your checklist.
So what I meant though is that it's the thing, like I was saying, when your kids are really little, still have those waves of feelings, not about my kids really, but about just all the responsibilities or the things you want to do. And when that happens, it's like, just look to God and hang on, give it to Him. And wait to see how, and try to notice when God does move you past something.
Yeah.
Give you so you can thank Him.
Back and thank
and you can remember His mercies, and you can see that. So we're probably gone a long time.
We need to stop.
All right, it's time for us to let you go back to your
you have a tip?
Repotting times.
Yeah.
A tip?
We need to write these down during the week.
Did I already give the tip of Super Sorb? Of vomit absorbing granules? Have I done that?
I don't know. I think you probably did.
Okay, so I have a pitcher, like a plastic gallon pitcher with small trash bag, small bathroom trash liners that you tie the bag around the handle.
Yeah.
Keep that ready to go for when someone needs to puke.
Yeah.
And that pitcher with the handle, and it's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep.
Smart.
And then you just throw the bag away. So there's no there's no rinsing none of this stuff out in somewhere. I don't know where this whole bowl phenomenon caught on, but it's a poor method.
I always did a deep stock pot for the same reasons, because you have a bag inside and you have two handles to hold on to. But I like your pitcher method better.
The lightweight plastic is good.
It's better.
And then I buy the janitorial supply of vomit absorbing granules. It is also, I think, for any other bodily fluid. It's like a
that's good.
Silica things. Whatever the case is, you sprinkle it on it. The reason it's so great about vomit is it is actually odor neutralizing.
Yeah.
So
it's important.
You throw this stuff on it and it soaks it up, and then you can sweep it up.
Smart.
We did, because when I just said that, I remember that someone says, don't vacuum it until you've swept it all mostly up.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, sorry guys. Double tipped you on the puke.
Yeah.
But I will say that when we just drove to Chicago, we had that in the car, just in case of car sickness or something. And, I don't want to say that I was, pleased when someone got car sick and had to throw up. But there's a certain level of success in being like, take this!
Yeah.
And we handle it.
It's
good.
Yeah. It's good. All right. Well, everyone.
Well, wait.
Have
you just
a
let me give a duplicate tip, but you didn't give one.
It's because I got nothing.
Guys, Becca, her tip well has ganged dry.
I'll think of something this week. I'll work on that.
All right, until next time.
I'm a 2009 graduate of New St. Andrews College, and I'm a commercial property manager.
3 kids at Logos, 1 at home still, and I do flowers on the side out of our house. When you have these little people that you're responsible to shepherd, you realize I need to know what I'm talking about because they need to have a firm foundation and they need deep roots so that they don't get blown over and that they're ready to stand up for the truth.
I am a programmer. The language aspect of NSA is a fantastic preparation for any sort of programming.
I'm a real estate broker here in town. I think absolutely the perfect education for being in sales of really any kind.
I actually put it to a lot of great use when I was working in the political realm.
I am a pastor in Central Coast, California. Whatever vocation you take, it'll make you take that seriously because you're seeing it through the lens of the sovereignty and lordship of Christ.
To learn more, visit us online at nsa.edu.